Johnson. Here comes the one-timer, scores! The hat-trick goal!
Suzuki, Laine, he scores!
There's something about Patrik Laine that defies logic. How can a player with one of the most terrifying shots in hockey, a man once hyped as the next Ovechkin, end up drifting through games invisible for entire stretches? He's too gifted to be written off, yet too inconsistent to be trusted. One night he looks like a franchise cornerstone, the next like a passenger, a power play assassin who vanishes at 5-on-5, a superstar whose talent never quite translates into results. So today we're diving deep into the riddle of Patrik Laine, how a sniper so deadly became one of the NHL's most confusing players. We'll trace his early rise, his fall from grace, his struggles in Columbus, the new chapter in Montreal, and the looming question, what does his future look like if nothing changes? Stick around, because the final verdict might completely change how you see him. When Laine burst onto the scene in Winnipeg in 2016, he looked like hockey's next superstar. The Jets drafted him second overall behind Austin Matthews, but many fans quietly wondered if Laine's shot might actually make him the better scorer. At 18, he exploded for 36 goals. His one-timer from the right circle was already feared. Goalies talked about it. Analysts compared him to Ovechkin. Winnipeg had its franchise winger, a pure shooter with swagger, hair flowing, confidence through the roof. But then came the subtle cracks. Even during those early fireworks, coaches noticed that when Laine wasn't scoring, he wasn't doing much else. He didn't drive possession, didn't forecheck hard, didn't kill penalties. His game revolved entirely around scoring. And when the goals dried up, there was no safety net. Therefore, when defenses started adjusting, taking away his space, pressuring him faster, blocking passing lanes, his impact dipped dramatically. The sniper's edge dulled, and the questions began. Laine's shot never went away. It just became confined. If you isolate his power play numbers, they're elite. Since his rookie season, he's ranked among the top goal scorers on the man advantage, with more than 85 power play tallies. His release is instantaneous, his accuracy surgical. On special teams, he's everything he was promised to be, but therein lies the confusion, because while he's dominant with extra space, that brilliance evaporates at even strength. At 5-on-5, he often looks hesitant, disconnected, or waiting for others to do the work. His 5-on-5 shot rates, scoring chances, and expected goals all lag behind top wingers. Coaches use him for offensive zone starts and still get minimal results. But then again, maybe that's the trade-off. Maybe Laine is so singularly focused on shooting that everything else feels secondary. Therefore, what once looked like a strength on specialization became his limitation. The more teams scouted him, the easier it became to neutralize him outside the power play. When you dig into Laine's 5-on-5 numbers, it's almost shocking. He's routinely near the bottom of his teams in shot share and goal differential. He can go multiple games without a single high-danger chance. At times, he's been benched late in games. Coaches from Winnipeg to Columbus have sent quiet messages. You need to do more when you don't have the puck. And yet, season after season, the same pattern repeats. Laine floats on the perimeter, waiting for someone to feed him. But when the puck doesn't find him, he fades out of sight. It's not a lack of talent, and it's a lack of engagement. But then injuries started creeping in. Groin pulls, shoulder issues, concussions. Each setback stole rhythm, confidence, and conditioning. Therefore, by the time he got healthy, he was already trying to play catch-up. His timing off, his pace behind, and his confidence shaken. At 5-on-5, where battles and effort define success, that's fatal. Laine's career since leaving Winnipeg has felt like a stop-start loop, a stretch of brilliance, followed by weeks off the ice. In Columbus, he battled recurring injuries, illness, and eventually mental health struggles that led him to the NHL/NHL PIA Player Assistance Program. That decision took courage, and it explained a lot. Hockey had always defined him, but the constant scrutiny, the comparisons, the disappointment, it wore him down. When he came back, fans hoped for a redemption arc, but mental recovery doesn't follow a stat sheet. His timing was gone, his role unclear, his team a mess. But then Montreal came calling, and for a brief moment it looked like salvation. Therefore, a new chapter began, but with heavy baggage. A superstar reputation without superstar production. A player fighting both his game and himself. When the Canadiens traded for Laine, it wasn't about nostalgia, it was about risk and reward. They saw a chance to fix what others couldn't, unleash the sniper inside a structured system that values accountability. Laine entered the final year of his $8.7 million per year deal, aware that his next contract might define his legacy. Montreal's front office reportedly sat him down immediately, delivering a clear message: produce at 5-on-5 or your future won't be here. He still has the name, the shot, and flashes of brilliance, but in today's NHL, a one-dimensional scorer can't command 8 figures. If Laine doesn't adapt, he's staring down a massive pay cut, or worse, a short-term prove-it deal that resets his career. But then again, maybe Montreal is the one market crazy enough or patient enough to see if they can reignite him. Therefore, the 2025-26 season feels like a referendum not only on his game, but on his reputation. Let's imagine the road ahead. If Patrik Laine continues exactly as he has, thriving on the man advantage but vanishing when the game evens out, his career will solidify into that of a specialist, a luxury shooter teams deploy for quick offense, not someone they build systems around. He'll always have a place on a power play unit. Few can launch a puck like him, but the trust of a coach during 5-on-5, that could fade fast. His minutes would shrink, his leverage would drop, and the league would quietly start labeling him a situational scorer rather than a superstar. His market would follow that narrative. GMs don't pay top-line money for half-impact players. Instead of another $8 million plus contract, he'd likely see something closer to $4 to $5 million, 1 or 2 years at a time. Short, cautious deals that say, prove you still have it. Contending teams would view him as a gamble, a potential playoff X-factor who might score the series-changing goal, or disappear entirely when the ice tightens. But what if he makes only a partial adjustment? Suppose he adds a little more effort at even strength, becomes slightly more engaged defensively, finds 55 points instead of 45. That version of Laine could stabilize as a mid-tier winger. Good, not elite. Coaches could live with that. He'd be valuable, but replaceable. And yet, the dream still lingers. What if he finally figures it out? If he reclaims his confidence, blends his lethal shot with real drive, and embraces the grind, he could reclaim the 40-goal potential that once terrified goalies. It's still in him. Everyone knows it. But then you look at precedent. Very few players completely reinvent themselves after almost a decade in the league. Habits harden, reputations stick, and the NHL moves on fast. Therefore, the most realistic projection might be bittersweet. Occasional flashes of the old magic, followed by long, quiet stretches that remind everyone how much was left on the table. It's not failure, but it's far from fulfillment. For someone who once threatened Ovechkin's scoring crown, that's the cruelest ending imaginable. If Laine wants to rewrite that ending, the path is narrow but visible. It begins with effort, the kind that shows before the puck even drops. He needs urgency in every shift, not just skating fast, but skating with purpose. Closing lanes, fighting through checks, battling for rebounds instead of waiting for perfect passes. He must rediscover the hunger that defined his rookie self, the teenager who celebrated every goal like it meant everything. That version of Laine hunted pucks, leaned into contact, and played with joy. Somewhere along the way, that fire dimmed. Bringing it back might be the biggest transformation of all. He also needs to evolve tactically. His shot is legendary, but defenses have the book on him now. He has to vary his release points, attack the slot more often, and use deception, fake shots, quick cuts, plays off the rush to force defenders to respect multiple threats. Add a playmaking layer, make them guess, not predict. And beyond the skill set, the attitude must shift. Teammates need to feel he's invested. That means back-checking hard, staying engaged in tough moments, celebrating others' goals with genuine energy. When coaches trust his compete level, they'll trust his minutes again. But then again, Laine's never been wired as a grinder. He's an artist, a rhythm player who feels the game more than he constructs it. That personality is part of what made him special, but also what limits him. Therefore, the challenge isn't only physical, it's psychological. Can he redefine his own identity from pure sniper to complete forward before time runs out? That's a battle of ego, pride, and reinvention. If he embraces it, the payoff could be enormous. Imagine Laine as a two-way force, a player who still scores from distance, but also creates chaos below the dots. He doesn't need to become a Selk nominee, just someone opponents fear in every situation. That version of Laine could still shock the league. The question is whether he wants to pay the price to get there. What makes Patrik Laine's story so magnetic is that it blurs the line between brilliance and disappointment. He's scored more than 200 goals before turning 28, missed entire chunks of seasons, changed markets twice, and still carries the aura of someone capable of catching fire at any moment. He's the living embodiment of potential that refuses to die. He's also a mirror for how quickly hockey's expectations can shift. In 2017, the league worshipped the sniper. By 2025, it worships the play driver. Laine was built for the old world, not the new one. That's not his fault, but it's his challenge. To fans, he's a paradox. Too skilled to criticize, too inconsistent to celebrate. Some still defend him fiercely, citing injuries, coaching chaos, or mental fatigue. Others insist he's the cautionary tale for a generation that mistook skill for substance. Both sides are right, and that's what makes him fascinating. But then, just when the debate cools, he scores a goal so outrageous it reignites everything. A one-timer from nowhere, a laser through traffic, the kind of goal that makes even his critics smile. For a moment, the confusion turns back into awe. Therefore, maybe his legacy won't be measured in trophies or points, but in emotion, the unpredictable spark he brings whenever he touches the puck. Laine reminds us that not every star fits neatly into a box. Some are symphonies that never find rhythm, others storms that appear and vanish. He's both, and whether he ever becomes the complete player everyone envisioned or stays trapped in his contradictions, one thing's certain: when he's on the ice, you watch. Because even if he's the most confusing superstar in the NHL, he's also one of the few capable of reminding you in a single shot why hockey can still take your breath away. So who is Patrik Laine? He's a man with one of the most dangerous releases in hockey, yet a career defined by inconsistency. A power play god, but a 5-on-5 ghost. Unless he reinvents himself this season, his next contract will reflect the reality the numbers already show. A short-term, lower-value deal built on hope rather than certainty. But if he finds a way to engage, evolve, and rediscover the joy that once made him unstoppable, he can still rewrite the ending. Because talent like his doesn't vanish. It just needs direction. What do you think? Has Patrik Laine reached the point of no return? Or is the league about to witness one of hockey's greatest comebacks? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this deep dive, make sure to like the video, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss what happens next. Because when it comes to Patrik Laine, the story isn't finished yet.